I think everybody sometimes wants a break, but mental toughness is actually choosing tough situations. Sadly, a lot of the teens, across the world, but definitely here in Kenya, have experienced a lot of traumatic situations. Mental toughness is giving yourself a break when appropriate, but really pushing through when you need to push through. I love mental toughness because the average person can really strengthen their mental toughness. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Wade. I am right now in Sagana, Kenya, and I'm representing the Kenya Alliance for Mental Health. I'm here with Dr. Crouch, and today we're going to be talking about mental toughness. So, just a quick overview about mental toughness. It's not just resiliency. A lot of people know what being resilient is, but mental toughness is actually choosing tough situations and therefore then pushing through and overcoming hard obstacles. So that may be pursuing a higher education or going after a job that you would really like to pursue, or having a tough conversation with a family member that you might be fearful of having. So welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Of course.
Okay, so the first question I would like to ask, could you tell me a little bit more about mental toughness, especially when it comes to in relation to young teens?
Okay. So before I talk about the young teens, I want to talk about mental toughness generally, what it's been researched.
Okay.
So the military, education, definitely in the sports arena. So when it comes to young teens, it can be really helpful to talk about mental toughness if they're in sports, if they play football and they really want to maybe pursue doing well and excelling in that sport. They can really lean into their mental toughness and practice when they don't want to practice. They can do things like that. Now, when it comes to teens who don't play sports or just general issues of teens, maybe it's really pushing through tough times because sadly, a lot of the teens, across the world, but definitely here in Kenya, have experienced a lot of traumatic situations. And they still need to want to overcome. Like a lot of people still have high goals and dreams, and they just need to still overcome. So it's really leaning into your mental toughness, working on your self-esteem, and realizing how tough you have been already in your life.
Could you give me a few examples of mental toughness in regards to, for instance, when I think about mental toughness, I think about Olympic athletes, how difficult it is for them to pursue training. So can you give me some examples what that looks like for young adults, even in school, college students?
Yes. So just to tag on the conversation about Olympic athletes, they're great examples because we see and we hear about these stories about Olympians really pushing through. Maybe they've come from a bad upbringing, just not a very good upbringing. Maybe they've been abused. Maybe they've gone through really traumatic times, but yet they have these high goals for themselves. So then they pursue long hours of training. They listen to their coach. They have camaraderie with their teammates, things like that. And then they just push through, really not wanting to practice sometimes. So when it comes to the young teens and the college students, I think everybody sometimes wants a break, but mental toughness is giving yourself a break when appropriate, but really pushing through when you need to push through.
So would you say a limited amount of mental toughness or the lack thereof may contribute to depression with athletes, young adults?
Yes, absolutely. There's been a lot of research actually about the correlation between just having a really negative view of yourself and then low mental toughness. And then that's also associated with high levels of depression and anxiety, other mental health disorders. So there is a strong correlation. So the more you build your mental toughness and resiliency and choose to push through tough times, you're actually improving your mental health.
Now, let's talk about mental toughness in relation to some of our movie stars and actors, the younger ones per se. You see a high amount sometimes of addictions.
That's a good point because there's also, sadly, a strong correlation of perfectionism associated with mental toughness in general. So you can have high mental toughness but still deal with perfectionism, but you're really going to hone in on your mental toughness and increase that mental toughness if you really work towards monitoring that perfectionism. And actors, musicians, models, all of them, they have to be perfect, right? That's
Yes,
how they get to
yes.
be where they're at. Successful business people. But I love mental toughness because the average person can really strengthen their mental toughness and still be successful in what they choose to do in life.
And mental toughness in relations to, I want to say, individuals who are experiencing difficulties or challenges in relations to lack of employment, low employment.
Yes, oh, yeah, the life stressors definitely impact mental toughness. So when you think about the wheel of wellness, as a lot of people in our field know about, you want to make sure that your physical self is taken care of. And that includes housing. You want to make sure you have stable housing and enough to eat and things like that. That doesn't mean that you cannot improve your mental toughness if you're not in an ideal situation, but you're really going to have to work on making the environment conducive to the mental toughness and resiliency. But I want to say those tough times are building the mental toughness. So thinking about someone in a not ideal living situation, for example, they're mentally tough because they're still around and they're still here and still maybe going to school or trying to get work.
And so now, seeing that we have relationships with the Kenya Alliance Center, what would you say would be some suggestions that you could have or recommendations for individuals who are looking for mental toughness?
Yeah, I think the easy recommendation that I have would be thinking about your goals in your life. Pursue your goals. And that may sound just totally out there, but it could be, okay, let's take a step down. It doesn't have to mean, oh, you have to get this higher degree or you have to get this particular job or whatever. It could be, I don't want to do something, but I know I should. And I mentioned in the introduction, maybe it's talking to a relative about something that I don't really want to do. It's continuing to just push yourself and really get through those tough times and recognizing that you're really strong. And in doing so, we call it self-efficacy, but your confidence, that's what that means. Your confidence will grow in that part or during that.
Okay. Okay. Well, I appreciate you giving me, chatting with me, giving me the information, you know.
Yeah, it's a favorite topic of mine, so I'm excited to be here and talk about it. So thank you. Good question.